All right. Hello, everyone. So today, in our Black Mom Yogi feature, I have a friend of mine, and her name is Merlyn Colbert. And she, as you see, is a Black woman, and she's also a
Yeah.
mom. So today, yes. And so today we're just gonna have a little conversation of what it's like to be a Black mom yogi. And I also, before Merlyn shares about herself, Yogi, I want you all to know that if you're practicing yoga, you're a yogi. You don't have to be going to a specific yoga studio or anything like that. But if you're practicing yoga, you're being mindful of how you're treating yourself and how you're speaking to your children, you're a yogi. So, Merlyn, first introduce yourself and maybe share like how many children you have and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I do want to say, I want to preface that I was just officially told I was a yogi by Leslie. She actually told me, she's like, by the way, yes, you're a yogi. I was like, oh, okay. Because, I don't practice it as much as I should. I feel like I should. But even before I met Leslie, it was something that I took seriously early on. Like, I want to say early on in my life, but like 2020 was when I started really like getting deep into yoga and what it does for your body, mind, body, soul. But before I go too deep, my name is Merlyn, by the way. I am a beauty therapist. I own Beauty by Merles. We'll get into that later. But I have three littles, ages 6, 3, and 1. So to say my plate is full is an understatement. People always say your plate's full. I'm like, it's overflowing. But yeah, I have a lot on my plate, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. So I juggle a lot of different hats. So yoga was one of the things that I discovered in 2020 when my business shut down for the first time. And I was home with these kids, no business, no nothing, no money coming in. I had to find a way to just get back in tune with myself and rediscover myself. So I started my healing journey around that time. And yeah, yoga is like life changing. It was life changing for me. And yeah, it's done a lot of healing for me personally, but I don't know if I want to get too deep into that yet, if you're going to ask that, but I'm going to let you take it away.
No, that's a wonderful introduction. So, like she said, she's a mom that has a full life. She has three littles. Okay, so like, and I commend Merlyn for starting her yoga practice, especially during the pandemic, which I know a lot of us. It either went two ways for us. It was either you're like, I need to start taking care of myself, or you just are like,
Let it go.
I'm just gonna go the other way and not take care of myself, right? So I just first want to give kudos to you, Merlyn, for knowing like, okay, let me take this opportunity while we're all locked in the house. Also, your business, you lost your actual brick and mortar, and Merlyn will share like, she might share briefly, but also just follow her social media because her story in itself, like, I'm really proud of her for choosing to use yoga as a way to process and heal. So, first question, what does it mean to you practicing yoga specifically as a Black mom?
For me personally, yoga is my self-care. Like it's like my intimate time with me. So it's what I do when I want to get away, take a break. Honestly, it's something I need to do every day. But we do what we can. I find other ways of self-care, but breathing, like I don't think I realized how much I incorporated yoga. So like the first step in my healing journey was breathing and meditating. And I didn't even realize that was yoga. I was incorporating yoga into my life. My therapist at the time actually suggested I do deep breath work. So that's kind of, I push it back even a little bit more. That's really when I started my yoga, journey, was back actually in 2019. But then I, picked it back up in 2020. And that's when I was really like deep off in it. But yeah, yoga to me is self-care. It's my me time. It's my recharge, reset, my, internal clock, if you will, like just get my mind and body aligned. That's what yoga does for me. That's what it means for me personally.
Yeah, no, and that's really beautiful. And I want to go more into your therapist. Your therapist suggested to do breath work. And for those of you who don't know, yoga, there are many aspects of yoga. There's actually like multiple limbs of yoga. It's either 7 or 8. I need to brush up on that, but there's like 7 to 8 limbs of yoga. One of those limbs of yoga is breath work, and it's in yoga, it's called pranayama. So it's like the breath. Breath is the life force. That's what pranayama means. Life force. Okay. So
that makes
yeah. So for your therapist to say, hey, let's do some breathing, it's because multiple reasons, but I just want to highlight that the breath is it's our life force. It's what gives you life. If you do not have your breath, you cannot do anything.
that makes a
Right?
lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
sorry to cut you
no,
off.
go.
My therapist, that was one of like, because back in 2019 I had a panic attack, and I know we talked about this before, but for the audience, I had a panic attack while I was pregnant. And there's only so much one can do, already with a panic attack, but while pregnant. So when I found my therapist, she was like, well, first thing we need to do is start with breath work. Like, you need a outlet, you need a way to let it out in a healthy way, because I'm also carrying life. So that was one of the first homework assignments she gave me, was to practice deep breath work, hold my hands over my stomach, and, breathe in and feel everything, and breathe out, feel my stomach expand. And I mean, at the time, like I said, yoga wasn't, I really got deep off later on, when I was like, oh, I started YouTubing and doing actual movements and stuff. And I was like, hey, I already do this. And my therapist started getting me on that, So, yes, that
Good.
is very much yoga that I did not know I was already doing.
Yeah. And see, like that's why I'm also having this series, because I feel like as Black moms, we don't give ourselves enough credit. And something that I found so beautiful lately, the more I connect with other women, is like we're doing the work because we really want to heal. And it really makes me emotional because, me and Merlyn, we're in multiple professional organizations together, but there was a meeting we were in recently, and just hearing around the room, all these women just sharing how ultimately they want to heal. They just want to heal to be better. And I still don't have all the words for it, but I'm like, wow, like we're really out here, like it just doing the, not even the best we can. Like we're doing like more than the best we can.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, because we just want the best out of our lives. Specifically as Black women, as Black moms, we just want the very best out of our lives, and we go above and beyond as Black moms. We really go above and beyond. So Merlyn sharing like, oh, I didn't know I was doing yoga. You were, and that's why I say you're a yogi, because you were practicing mindfulness, which is another aspect of yoga. You were like, oh my gosh, I'm having these panic attacks. You found a therapist. And I want to go into this part because you said, okay, after that, you started YouTubing. So what started coming up for you? What type of people were you seeing when you were YouTubing yoga?
So, I mean, back then, but when I didn't know any better, I was YouTubing just, okay, yoga, basic yoga stretches, postnatal. Because at that time I had already had my daughter, and I was like, get back fit. And then I didn't, like I said, once again, I didn't put two and two together, the mindful breathing. And then, so when I started looking up these yoga videos, I was like, ooh, breathing. Oh, I already do this. I know this. This is familiar. Not knowing I was already doing yoga. But when I was searching, it was, women that were not like us. So it was kind of funny at first, because I was like, this is silly, because I don't feel like this is really for me. But I knew that the mindfulness and breathing aspect meant something. So I was like, okay, let me just stick to it. And they didn't look like me. And, realistically, the background, certain things that just, I couldn't relate. I could not relate. That was couldn't relate.
That's why I'm having this series, because I have something on my Facebook. It is what it is, guys. Because this is a big issue with whole hashtag representation matters. We're in Black History Month, so you're gonna see us all over for a month.
Y'all
right?
up in here.
Cool. Yeah. And I want these to be continued conversations, because what holds a lot of Black moms back is like, we don't see ourselves. So we're like, we do the therapy, or we go to the doctor, right? A lot of us,
Mhm.
at least, we go to our doctor. This is my nurse hat coming on. We go to our doctor, and a lot of doctors now are like, okay, you need to be doing some holistic stuff, which is great, stretching and all these things. So they give you the treatment plan, do some yoga, and you're like, great. And then you're like Merlyn, and you go on YouTube. So you use the resources you have, but then you see a person that's not you doing this stretch, telling you all of these vulnerable, to do all these vulnerable things, and there's a barrier that comes up and you don't even realize. And a lot of us, a lot of us are like, I'm not gonna do this shit, like
Yep,
that person.
there it is.
And
It's
you don't
like,
have, yeah, and you don't have the words. But what happens typically, the doctor prescribes you do the yoga, you go on YouTube, and you're like, I can't do this. And you don't understand the reason is because you don't have somebody on the other side of that screen that looks like you, that shares the same experience as you. And it's very important. So that's why today, in this series, I was like, I have to show. But so what I want to ask is this wasn't a question, but what made you continue on? Like,
and that's why I'm so glad you said that, because I always wondered what it was. Because now I'm like, back then, I don't know why it was silly. But now I'm like, yo, I'm all into this because I know the benefits but the benefits didn't change. Nothing changed. But now when you break it down, that makes sense. So what made me keep going was it was for me internally. That's how bad I wanted a difference. That's how bad I wanted to change. I was like, okay, I need to get myself right. So like, I'm going to push through. But like, honestly, on YouTube, we are not there. And now this is multiple videos. It's not like I stumbled on one. I've done multiple prenatal, postnatal, I've then had a whole nother kid in that time. Like, we aren't in there. And I just know the benefits of it. And I want to say it's like Pilates too. That's a whole stigma all it. I was like, I'm starting Pilates. People like, who do you think you are? Girl, you ain't know, you a white girl. Like, no, I just know the importance of core. Like, I just really want to get my core right. That just so happens to be that's who's out here doing it. But I'm gonna hop on it because I know how important it is. So I kept pushing through just because me. Like, mind you, my mom, I had to push my mom to do, because my mom is like what you discussed. She had her doctor recommend her these specific stretches. I was like, Mom, get on yoga. And she's like, I can't. And I'm like, you can't. Just push through. Like, but you don't realize that's what's happening. I didn't realize that's what was happening. I was just like, you know what? I have to prioritize myself no matter what it by any means necessary, And now that makes a whole lot more sense, like, as to why it's so hesitant. Because I felt silly doing that first. Because you're like, oh, hands up, and you're like breathing, you're like, and then like just shut up. You're like in your head going through like the motions, and that makes a lot more sense as to why I felt so silly.
And you felt silly because the person on the other side did not look like you. And I don't know why representation matter triggers me a lot, but it does, because I don't feel like people that are like us understand the context and how layered it is.
Yes.
And how, you will feel silly. And you'll also, with the Pilates and bar, like other types of movement, it is still put away for certain type of people because of how it's marketed, right? And so like that's why it's really important that I'm having this series highlighting everyday mom yogis, because and I also love, Merlyn, that you said you just knew you needed better in your life and you didn't care what that person looked like on the other side, but they could help you in some kind of way. And what's amazing, because Merlyn said she started all this back in 2019. What is amazing, and did yoga videos with other people that didn't look like her, but she started to feel better, And then here comes 21, about 3 years later, we connect.
Yep.
And I share with her that I'm a Black yoga instructor, also a mother. And now we're like, helping each other. So I just say all that to say, like, do it if you feel silly, like Merlyn says, continue on. continue on, because God is hearing you. The universe is hearing you. He knows what you need, and he will bring the people, even if you don't know yet, even if your family is like, what the hell are you doing? Keep doing it. He will bring you the people that you need so that you can finally practice yoga and be like, oh my God. Like, because it's another thing when we go in these yoga classes, you don't realize you have this barrier, even if it's virtual or not. You have this barrier. But when you see a Black yoga instructor, somebody that looks like you, that is in front of the class, that has their hair like natural and like is just them, the barrier goes down and you don't even realize it, and you're able to tap in deeper than you ever have before. So I have a couple more questions. Okay, this next, so Merlyn mentioned her mom and how she's like, Mom, you got to do this yoga. And me and Merlyn we both are first generation, right? Because okay, I'm Jamaican, my parents are Jamaican, and Merlyn is Haitian. So transitioning into this part though, I want to talk about healing as a Black mom, right? So and we'll try to make this as possible. I recently read a book called Mother Hunger that I am now recommending to anybody, even if you are not wanting to become a mom, but this is for moms. So I recommend all of my mom friends to read the book Mother Hunger, and I'll make sure to leave it below in the comments. But I recently read the book Mother Hunger, and it was triggering. I'm not gonna lie, and it was triggering. It was actually also, I felt seen. The author, she's not Black, but it was just like, oh, that's why I act like this. Okay, so I just want to ask, so that's the book I've read that's leading me to ask you this question. Can you talk about whatever you're comfortable with, healing as a Black mom? Because I also want to say this, yoga is a way to heal. So
yes. So it's so funny because I saw that question when you sent it to me and I was like, oh, we're going there today. All right. So after attending, I literally just attended Leslie's yoga experience. And one of the things that I shared during that experience was I felt like I went to a place, I was a child, like little me came out. And boy, was that like something, because who would have, like, the things you don't think about. So when it comes to healing, there are things that you have blocked out that you don't even remember or realize that you need to heal from. So how do you know what to heal? Like, something's not, aligned, and you need to heal, but how do you know how to get there? That's what yoga does. Like, I did not realize I had this childhood trauma in me. It's like the child in me needed healing. And when I went to that place, man, so like when you talk about mother, like there's a lot that I've seen my mom go through. And it's not necessarily what she did to me, because she was a great mom to me. But what she went through, I have to heal from. And I didn't realize that. Like, after I left yesterday, after reflecting and all that stuff, I was like, where did that, like, what happened? And I think, like, I mean, I know, like, the surface stuff because my parents are currently divorced. So there's some surface stuff that we all know. But when you go deeper, the connection between me and my mom, there are things that I saw her go through that it didn't make sense to me. And it hurt me more than it hurt her. So I was carrying a lot of her burdens. And I don't know, we've never talked, like now I'm talking to you about, we've never talked about it. But there are a lot of things that she went through and I'm carrying it for her, to the point where I'm like, I have to heal from her trauma. Not necessarily that she put me through, but that she went through that I suffered more from. And I want to say he suffered more from because I'm sure she was the one that went through it. But as a child, watching your mother go through these things, I'm like, I can't let it happen to me. I can't let it happen to her. I have to protect her. I have me and my mom, all my siblings say, you and mom have a different bond. And we do, because I was a baby and I had to mature way faster than, everybody else, because I came 8 years after there's 4 of us. I came 8 years after the last one. So the age gap is 10, 11, 10, and 8. So I'm the baby, but I'm also like mentally, I'm like way more advanced. So they're like, you and mom had this bond. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just seen some things. So I already know where she's coming from, but I realized I have to heal from stuff that I see my mom go through. And I can't carry that into my adulthood, onto my relationship with my husband and my kids and my, like, I see it. Like, it's there. And I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. Like, I got some more healing to do. Because I thought it was surface level stuff, but it gets deeper. It's so deep. The healing of the childhood, the childhood trauma.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Merlyn, for sharing that in this series. We're recording, like, well, everybody's going to see this in February, but I recently had my first yoga experience of the year in person. And Merlyn also shared that amongst the women in that space. And I am just honored and humbled to be able to co-create, because that's what it is. It's a co-creation. Like, it's not about me when I create these experiences. It's for you, Merlyn. And then, you know, you realize, oh, me healing, like, yes, it's for me, but it's not about me. And that's what you learn in yoga. Like, it's not about me, right? But I love that Merlyn was just mentioning, like, you know, she's able to heal her inner child. And that's what is so transformative. And I use that word with confidence now, because even just want to disclose this, like, yesterday when I was like praying and meditating, I was like, I am going to transform people's lives. Like, I said that, like, you know, I manifested that, and I didn't really know what that all meant. I really didn't. But I was like, this is what I'm gonna do.
It did, though. At least for me, I can speak for me. Because I didn't know, you know, when you don't know, that's why this stuff is so important. That's why yoga is important, and meditation and praying. Like, you don't know what you need healing from. Because I didn't realize, I was like, dang, like, when it hit me, these feelings, and I'm like, wow, I had those there. They've always been there, but I forgot. I pushed them to my subconscious to the point where I blocked them all the way out. But then I'm like, adult me is like acting and reacting to certain things in my life. And I'm like, people are like, what is wrong with you? You're triggered. I'm like, how's it triggering me? I'm fine. No, I'm not fine. And that's what, you know, that brought that out. Like the sound bath, sound bath. It brought out a piece of me that I was like, oh, sis, you're still hurt. Okay, let's work on that. You know, like, and that's just my perspective. That's what I went through. It released. I released something yesterday, and I didn't realize I was holding on to. So thank you so much for having that space. It's so important. It's so important.
You're welcome. And, you know, that's why I'm having this series, just to continue on, like, what happened yesterday, what was created yesterday. And again, I'm emphasizing that me and Merlyn are Black moms. We both practice yoga because we're using this as a source to heal from our own mother hunger trauma, as well as just like generational trauma. We're both Black women. So, like, when Merlyn was saying, you know, a lot of times we just put it to the side, you know, here it goes. But going back in slave times, like, we didn't have the chance. Like, our ancestors did not have the chance to talk like this and to express themselves. They had to just put it to the side. So obviously, like, generationally, like, that's what we know. That's what is comfortable for us. But I'm here to tell you that if you are open, like how Merlyn said, she was open to practicing yoga because she needed it. She had a panic attack. Like, that was her, you know, if it's safe for me to say, your rock bottom. Like, you were like, okay, this is not right. And I commend you, because a lot of people, especially Black moms, like, I'm saying Black moms because that's who we are and that's who I am talking to. Black moms, like, we still kind of live in these silos where we're just like, I don't want to tell my friend this because I don't want them to judge me, right? And we're creating more and more spaces where, but I feel like it's still like a lot of us are still scared. We're still scared to like to share what we're going through because we didn't see our moms sharing. Like I know I didn't see my mom sharing. Like she didn't really have my mom doesn't have a lot of friends and community. Like my mom didn't have that. So now that I'm creating my own life, I'm like, I need that. Like, you know, so there was that shift in me. And it was because of yoga that I was able to realize, oh, I need community. I love support. But it was only because I took that first class back in 2009, that first yoga class is where everything just transpired from there. And so okay, let's continue on. Is there anything, well, I have like this other question, but I feel like you've kind of answered it, but I'll ask it. How have
Yeah.
you used yoga to be an amazing, awesome mom that you are?
Oh yeah. Oh, so okay, it didn't go away. Oh yeah. Hello. Like I use it now. I'm like, that question is just like I use it now. I would say daily because if I'm not doing the stretches, I'm breathing. Like my breath work is like, look, if I don't do nothing, I'm gonna breathe. Because and I mean driving when the kids are in the back yelling, I'm like, I do it to literally center myself. Because as a mom, what? You know these kids be turned up and they just like they gonna do them. So guess what? I gotta do me. And yoga is me. If I don't do nothing, I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna breathe through all the chaos, all the crying, the meltdowns, and not only that, I teach them too. So like they know as soon as I take a deep breath. Like my oldest now, she's like, I don't want to take a deep breath, and I'm like, girl, then think of a happy thought. We gonna come up with something because you need to center yourself. Like she doesn't. I tell her to center her, so she's like, what? Like looking at me, but I'm like, calm down, breathe it through it. So my middle child though, my 3-year-old, she's like, ooh, she's like, she gonna breathe. And I'm teaching my baby now, my 1-year-old son, and he's like, he just blows air. But it's like for me, I'm like, look, if I can do it, you can do it. Let's like we all do it together. I'm telling my husband, go take a break, go breathe, go upstairs. Like that's breathing. Breathing is my jam. I'm gonna breathe through anything. So I wouldn't say I don't practice yoga daily. I definitely do. And that helps ground me. It brings me back down to earth reality. It centers me so that I know I am in control. Like I got this. I'm gonna do this. Don't lose it. You got this. That's what it does for me. So yoga saved my life at this point. Cause I'm not gonna lie, like old me, I want to be able to handle all these kids. Like I was short tempered and snappy. It's grounded me a lot. It kept me like sane, like sane, really. And I still have my anxiety attacks. It's life. Things come and go, and life happens, and it hasn't been as bad. Like, and I know the cues, like panic attacks. Before it's mindfulness, right?
That's
So
mindful. That's what I was
before I
gonna
start
say. Yep.
going there, I'm like, doop, doop. All right, here we go. My palms get sweaty. I'm like, no. I rein it back in, and I get back control. So, and that's how I know, just because I've been practicing it for so long. I'm like, all right, I'm mindful of what my body, my cues, my physical cues are telling me what's about to happen.
Right.
So I just stop back into myself.
Yeah, and that I'm sorry, I have something in my eye. I'm not crying. I'm not crying, everyone. Like I genuinely
you
have
are. I made you cry. No.
have this eyelash, but no, this is an incredible this conversation. I know this is for at least one person, if not more, because I'm really excited. Merlyn is the first of the first person first Black mom that I am talking to. And I am just so excited of how this is going to benefit other Black moms, and knowing like we're healing, we're breaking those generational curses. Like we're doing so much. And that's why I wanted to bring people like Merlyn, Black moms like Merlyn, on to my platform, because I want to just give you your flowers, if anything, like tell you are doing a good job. You are an amazing, awesome, beautiful mom. that is like transforming your own family. Like you're
Mhm.
transforming your own family's life. And now I'm getting emotional, so maybe now I am crying. But it's that's also part of this series. Like I said, this was just an idea. It was just an idea that came into my head. And then I was like, oh, this is a good amount of content too, the selfish side.
Exactly. And it's a
But
great idea. It's a great idea.
yeah, but it's just showing, because I hear it so much. Like I was telling Merlyn before we recorded, like a lot of Black moms are just like, I don't see us enough. Like that's like the high level of what they're saying. So then they don't do it. And then they think like it's complicated. And that's also something I want to highlight is, you notice that Merlyn said, she does the breath work. And I told you all that is one limb of yoga. It's an aspect of yoga. And it's not marketed like that. Like you hear yoga, you think headstand, you think I'm on my head, you think I'm doing this split. And that's why I'm so happy that Merlyn said, like, she does the breathing. She does yoga every single day. Yeah. And you realize it's the breathing. So it doesn't have to be complicated. And we're both moms. We don't have time for complication. Like we need it as simple as possible. So Merlyn says she does her breathing every day. And sometimes she'll bring in her kids and her husband and everybody, it's a family affair. So I'm here to tell you all, like, don't make it complicated. Do not make it complicated, because we don't got the time to make it complicated. Okay. Keep it simple when it comes to your yoga practice. Last question. Well, is there anything else you would like to share related to being a mom and using yoga as your source of healing?
No, I honestly, I feel like I covered everything. It's so much that goes into like so much. Yeah, I'm like, girl, just know it gets deep. If you do it, like, I mean, if you take any like class or that right there, especially with Lesline, because people are everywhere, I'm sure, but you have an online studio. So doing a class with Lesline, it's already transformed me another level. Like, I feel like I've already elevated to another level, another me. That's wild. Like, I'm over here like, I know I'm going to do great things, but like to internally do the work is different. Like it'll transform you. So no, like yoga is great. Yoga is not just, like you said, stretches and handstands and whatnot. It's everything. It's like all like different tiers. But y'all get into something, get into the yoga to heal. That's mostly it. Y'all gotta heal. We out here healing and leveling up. That's it. When the more you heal, it's like you're playing like a game, and then you get to the next level. You're unlocking levels of yourself, of your greatness, because you're healing. It's crazy, but it's cool. Like, it's crazy great. I get excited now and I like talk about it because I'm like, my mind.
Yeah, it's so good. No, it's good. Yeah. And you just have to be open, but it can be challenging. So as you wrap this up, it can be challenging, especially as Black moms, to be open to it if you don't see somebody like you. So like Merlyn said, I have my online studio. All of this information will be in the bottom, but just to repeat for those that maybe are seeing me for the first time, my website is leslinepittman.com, LeslinePittman. You go on there, and as soon as you go on there, there will be a pop-up that'll ask you, hey, you want to do a 7-day yoga challenge for free? Sign up. You'll get instant access to your peace of mind. And it is me, my face, that'll be teaching you. So again, remember I was talking about that barrier that instantly, unconsciously, so like it just comes up and you don't even realize. That barrier will go away, and you'll be able to like relax and get that healing that you need, because it's somebody like you that is teaching you. So Merlyn, where can people find you?
Oh, well, me, little me. I have a website, beautybymerls.com, www.beautybymerls.com, MERLZZ. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. My TikTok is really me. I'd be cutting up on TikTok. I don't have a business TikTok, but if you find my Facebook and Instagram, you'll find all the other ones. It is Instagram and Facebook is Beauty by Merl. So Instagram is at Beauty by Merls, and Facebook is Beauty by Merls. Like, if you go on there and search, you will find me on there. I teach women self-care through beauty therapy. So what we do go hand in hand. We always piggyback off each other. So self-care is healthcare. That's about it.
Yes, yes, it is. And on that note, like, thank you for watching. If you watched till the end, like, let me know below. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your Black History Month. Celebrate yourself. Remember, you are Black history. Like, because I'm talking to Black moms. Like, that's who I'm talking to. You are Black history. You are doing the work. And don't be like, oh, I'm trying. Like, you're watching this, so that means you're curious about your healing journey. And anyways, I'm gonna let you all go, and we'll see you in the next highlight.